with us. He teaches at SPA. He runs his own practice. So yeah, I mean, I shouldn't give his introduction here. Sorry. So just generally telling, Tanaya, Puneet, Amin, he's going to be back with us. So the day is packed. So let's just start. Yes. Yeah. So first, so Himanshu Soni, practicing architect, co-founder, Greenhouse Academy. He's done an MArch, Theory and Design from CEPT. He has done his BArch from GCA Lucknow. Himanshu is an architecture pedagogy enthusiast and is keen eco-friendly eco-friendly architectural practices. He continually explores his belief that latest technology is an enabler for communicating and understanding the concepts as well as delivering perfection on the site. With this approach, he has served at Airport Authorities of India as manager, architect, and CPWD in the past. Currently at Greenhouse, he passionately works towards contributing not just to the profession, but also to academics by conducting interdisciplinary workshops to reduce the gap between academic and practical world, pursuing the vision of Greenhouse Academy. He also engages with projects that focus on strengthening the ecosystem for local and traditional wisdoms to become part of mainstream. Himanshu has also been a visiting jury member with us, and we hope to involve him further with in our school. So, welcome, Himanshu. And we have Prashansa back with us. Yeah, thanks. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And we have Prashansa back with us, and mostly I think so for the new joinees. Prashansa is an assistant professor, Sushant School of Art and Architecture, Ansal University. Prashansa has done BArch from MANIT Bhopal and Masters of Building Engineering and Management from SPA New Delhi. Has 8 years of experience in construction and project management and mentoring architecture students. She is a Griha CP and IGBC AP at her. At her current role, she is a faculty member at Sushant School of Art and Architecture, Ansal University. She has brought sustainable practices in teaching building construction and building services to architecture students. And as you are aware, she laid out the syllabus for us. She told the reasons why what we are doing here, and there was these interesting discussions, and she's also a super whiz with a lot of these construction management and construction software, so that's why she's back with us. So over to you, and Himanshu and Prashansa.
Thank you, Aruna. Thank you so much for this. So now we'll be starting with the presentation, Himanshu, or should we wait? Like there are already 30 of the participants already here, so we can start with it. So you want me to share the screen?
No, I will share the screen. No issue.
Okay.
I'll share the screen. Okay, so a very good morning, everyone. So today we are starting a session which is rightly titled as System Tools and Approaches. And this session would be majorly focusing about the softwares and so as Aruna ma'am has already given a brief introduction about us. So I'll just quickly go through because there is a lot to the session and we have to wind up, I think, by 11. So what I will talk about is we have the journey or the shift which is happening in the current time because of the pandemic we are into, or because of the actual shift which is happening because world is becoming one global place and everybody can interact. Let's say like in this platform also somebody is presenting from Pondicherry.
We have lost your voice.
Sessions and workshops, we also had a shift which was
Himanshu, there is a issue happening with your voice. Is there some network issue?
Yeah, we've lost his voice.
This is part and parcel of this platform.
Yeah, let's just hold it for some minutes. It might be back.
Yeah, I think so. There might be a network issue, and that's why. Yeah. Let me just.
I think maybe Prashansa should present, or because I think the double thing might not be working.
Yeah,
Or let him present.
first let him come back and I will tell that I can present. I have this presentation, or you would have done some changes to it. And text again.
Prashansa, why don't you present? It's okay. You start, get it to the first thing, we'll tell him. Keep it ready because you know how we don't have
Okay,
much time.
I'm presenting.
Yeah, just open
It's
it onto
there.
the first slide.
It's there, don't worry.
Himanshu, we will, why don't we let Prashansa present?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can
And-
do the talking and yeah. So you will
that will be
hear,
easier also for, so you can also see the, what is
But,
going on. Yeah.
yeah. So where did I got disconnected? I didn't realize even.
Right at the beginning. Right at the beginning. So start.
Okay. Okay. So the thing is that the shift which is happening in the current times, if you look into the academic environments, now they are shifting from physical classes to online platform. And this shift happened for us also at Greenhouse Academy when we, somewhere around 4 years back, when we shifted from physical classes to conducting our workshops online so that we can connect with the people across the globe. So because we were getting inquiries from all across the world. So that is something which is happening, and now with the current times of uncertain times, this has become not a choice but a mandatory thing which we have to deal with all the time. And it is really very challenging. The initial shift is really very difficult because you need to understand that how you can bring in the near to real physical classes experience, because experiential learning is something which is very important for architectural education. So this shift started happening at that time. Can I have the next slide? Yeah, so from the site visits, taking students to the site, now the faculty might have to shift to creating, let's say, videos of the site, or you can use the multimedia tools or those virtual models of the sites. The construction, exact construction, how it is happening can be done in the virtual reality and can be presented to the students so that they have almost near to real experience. Obviously, we cannot replace the experiential learning part, but at least we could say that they are industry ready, and when they go to the site, they are not in a situation of shock or awe. What they are seeing and what they have learned is a completely different thing. Now, can I have the next? I'm going a bit fast because we have lots to cover in the session. In fact, visiting your local iconic building or international iconic buildings, which you have to, can be now experienced in various tools. Like you can use Google Maps to actually virtually do the street tours and everything. In a similar manner, there are various 3D modeling softwares, and they have created exact replicas of the model, and you can actually see each and every minute details of these masterpieces to understand how they were created, what would have gone to under the construction phases. So there are lots of resources which are now being created and delivered for the pedagogical purposes. But for this, we need to understand the tools very well. So now, why this slide? Why I'm talking about various myths? Because we were getting trainees, we get to interact with the students a lot of time, and we have this general notions that the current generation is really tech savvy. So they are, but are they very sound on the technological front? This we cannot take as something which is a reality. So we most of the time 10% or 5% of the people or students or trainees which interact with us are good, but 90%, 85% the students or the trainees which we interact, they have a very superficial knowledge of the concerned technology which they are working on, because of the short span of attention which they are fighting with, lots of information which is coming to them. So we really need to be upgraded. We need to upgrade ourselves to upgrade them also. We cannot take for granted that we have to deliver the knowledge and the technology will be taken care by the students themselves. So both the things have to happen parallelly. Another thing which comes up with my interactions with my colleagues and most of the people while I was in SEPT also, or now also when I interact with many people, is that imagination and virtual reality is something which is against each other, or it's like black and white statements. Either they are against each other, because virtual reality will eventually kill the imagination power of an individual. And the second part is, I think somebody is pointing out that basic concepts is very important to understand. That is rightly what I'm trying to tell. And the second part is where we believe that the imagination, if you don't use your faculty of imagination, eventually it will go off. But there is a lot of gray area which happens. So, like when I work, I have a small sketchbook next to me. I keep on sketching, so I don't kill my imagination and intuition most of the time. But there are advanced technological tools which can easily help me to express those imagination and intuitions. So we should not close our doors towards technologies, thinking that imagination they will kill our imagination. So there is a lot of gray area in which we need to function. Things like that new technology is a threat to traditional techniques and materials. I would say no, because in a project which we are working in Jabalpur, there we are making resorts in a very remote village. So we are trying to use the local techniques and trying to innovate over them. And we are using advanced tools like Rhino in Grasshoppers to understand the mud textures which we can create. So there are parametric modeling we are doing, and then we are collaborating with the local craftsmen to see how we can create. So I would really thank my mentor Kulbhushan Jain from SEPT, who really made us believe at some point that craft, you don't need to replicate craft. You need to understand craft, and you need to find your own expressions of it when you go into practice. So those expressions would be very much expressions of the human condition which we are living in right now. So these things, so you need to really open up your windows so that you actually accept the technology. That till the time you will not accept it, you will not start doing it, you will not start practicing it. So that we should not ignore technology. It is there, and it has been talked about since 1909 when Lee Corbusier is writing his book. He's also saying that technology is advancing, but architects are not. So this is something which is there with our profession. At some point, I was also in a state where I stopped doing anything digitally. I was just doing hand drawings because I was working on certain cave kind of architecture. So I thought the digital technology would not express it well. So there was some time. Then at the same time, I was into reading a lot, and then I came across this book which actually shifted a lot of thought process of mine. So I wanted to quote this particular quote. So before we start off with the actual demonstrations and what Prashansa has to add eventually, so that we believe in technology on the first place. So I will just take everyone's attention to listen to this very carefully. The Buddha, the Godhead, resides quite as comfortable in the circuits of a digital computer or the gears of a cycle transmission as he does at the top of the mountain or in the petals of a flower. To think otherwise is to demean the Buddha, which is to demean oneself. So, this is the kind of understanding with which we need to proceed with things. So you cannot close your door for one thing to just achieve another thing. It is the things. There is continuous learning which keeps on happening and advancement with the current times which we are living in. Can I have the next slide? So now I will come down to the more specific part. So that was all the basic build-up. Now, what in pedagogy word, what used to happen previously? What were the tools to communicate with you? So, if you look into your construction sheet, what it was. So it was basically a tool it was a way to communicate. So we were teaching students to draw lines and everything so that they can communicate well on the site eventually. First, they can understand what is being communicated, and then it could be transferred to the site to be executed. But now, if you look and why it was being done in such a way, in spite of the fact there were softwares like AutoCAD and everything, which is prevalent right now also, and which are very much in practice in the industry, because what you draw on sheet is exactly what you do in that software. So there was not any difference. So if you don't have proper understanding of line weight, what are the various textures which you give, what are the various hatching patterns you use, so you cannot communicate well when you are in the practice. So when you draw two lines in AutoCAD, you're almost drawing two lines in your drawing board. It is similar to that. But with the current technological advancement or the digital age which we are in, with the tools like BIM, which is I would also like to mention, it is not a software. It is a technology on which there are based various software. So they could be Revit, ArchiCAD, there could be SolidWorks. There are lots of softwares which are based on this technology. So what happens when you draw two lines in these kinds of software? So there are lots of parameters which are working in behind. So there is a wall which is created, which has lots of parameters. What is the material of it? What is its thickness? So there is quantities which are automatically being created out of it. So there is a lot of information which is being generated out of it. So there is a shift in the tool now. So when we say then there is a shift in the tool which is happening eventually in the industry, and it is being made mandatory in various places like this. In Airports Authority of India, now you have to submit a BIM model, or in metro projects, now you have to submit a BIM model for your design. So now this is becoming something which is becoming mandatory. So we need to educate our students in the academic world also about these things, so that they are industry ready when they come out. That is something. So I will just briefly touch upon what is BIM. So BIM's full form, as we all know, is Building Information Modeling, but we generally misconcept it by understanding building as the physical entity, but it is not a physical entity, it is a verb wherein you are trying to create information model. So if I would have to write this, I would write it more like creating information modeling. So the key term becomes your information. So there is a lot of information which is being created and modeled into a 3D thing. So this could be very well good, could be good for your buildings also, could be for infrastructure projects also, for your bridges, for your airside planning of an airport. So there could be lots of ways in this technology can be used, and various software. So Revit is BIM? No, as I have already told, Revit is a software which is based on BIM technology. So how is it different from CAD? And I think I have addressed that also. Whereas CAD, you do modelings which are single line models, double line models, and that is the information you are creating as if you're creating on your drawing board. Similarly, in your 3D modeling software, you have a freedom to create various tools. Now, these 3D modeling softwares like your SketchUp and all are now catching up and making building BIM also part of their ecosystem. Then there are things like parametric design, which is coming up, like Rhino with grasshoppers, or SolidWorks, or CATIA. In all these things, you input certain parameters and things change. So, so this is the kind of environments which are creating, and the virtual reality in architecture is also fastly picking up, and it is being used to deliver content to clients also most of the time, wherein you have VR boxes which you can attach with your mobiles, and you have your model inside it, and then you can have a complete virtual walkthrough on the site for the client. Even for yourself, when you collaborate with various partners or stakeholders of the building, you can use these tools to check if there is something wrong which is going to happen in the building which you have designed. So these are the tools which are coming up, which can help you to deliver various phases. So if you look into the past, we were majorly concerned about design and construction phases of the building, and we will take a feedback over a period of time. But now with the larger scale projects which are dealing, and when we have technologies like BIM, we can uh, do this complete building phasing, and you can have a control over it as a project manager. So you can talk about design, you can have construction, then when you hand over, you have certain manuals key, what are the various drawings, where are the shaft location, what are the maintenance practices you have to follow up later, and the operations part, how you can take care of it from the demolition to again if you have to reconstruct the building. So this is the kind of information. So it is basically the information which is now being created and used and transformed. I think I'll go to the next slide now. Yeah. So another thing, I think I attended Sanjay Prakash sir's session for a very short while, and I think he also mentioned about this thing. Mostly, we have to stop thinking of architects while making them architects as our students, and also we as practicing architects, we have to stop considering ourselves as the captain of the ship anymore. There are lots of stakeholders, and they need to be brought together, given a proper place in the whole practice, and then we need to collaborate to create these kinds of models which we are talking about, information models, so that you can have less of surprises when the work goes onto the site. There are less of errors, and the cost which goes into creating these things is eventually recovered, because you save a lot of cost, because of reoccurring cost, because of the errors which are done at site. So this term is basically called your pre-construction management. So you create almost everything in a model virtually as if it is going to get constructed step by step in the phased manner. So this reduces the need of physical meetings on site and resolves the issues and makes the process smooth and efficient. So with this, I think I will give it over to Prashansha so she can continue further, and then I will do certain demonstrations on SketchUp tool, and I will also tell you why we have chosen the SketchUp tool. So I will ask Prashansha to take over.
Thank you, Himanshu. I think I'm audible now. So before we move to the next topic of like why we are actually doing this 3D modeling and why we have to demonstrate a 3D thing to the student and make them understand the constructability aspect of it, I would like to deliberate upon a topic thing that our eyes has been designed to see a 3D. Of course, by birth, we see everything in 3D. That's why we have a pair of eyes. So whenever we see everything in 3D, and then suddenly when we join architecture or when we become an architecture student, all our imaginations, preconceived imagination and everything, how to imagine is always, it will always come to our mind, not in terms of a plan, but in terms of a 3D. So now what we do with that 3D is we have that concept in our mind in 3D, but we are taught to convert that 3D into 2D. This is what architecture education is mostly about. So from 3D, we shift to a 2D graphical representation, and then we are taught to make a 3D model out of it using that 2D particular drawing. And then that 3D is presented to the clients and all those presentations and all. And then we go back and make a working drawing of from that particular 3D. Then we go to a 2D, and then we transfer that 2D drawing to the person who is working at the site, who is actually making a building which is in 3D. So I think up and down, shift from 3D to imagination to a 3D building, there has been a lot of 2D and 3D shifts that we come across. And with that shift, I think a lot of concepts gets lost. A lot of during that translations, there is a lot of things that is not there, which was there in our initial imagination. So the entire idea of having to go through this process of converting a 3D imagination to a 3D building using a 2D drawing has been a very old or I would say it's now getting obsolete, and we all know that we all can imagine better in a three-dimensional world. And with the help of BIM, I think it's a wonderful platform where with this 3D imagination we can we are giving attributes to all those three-dimensional building blocks or three-dimensional things that we are using to make that particular project. So that's very important. And then when we see whenever we are teaching, like this happened while we were teaching building construction to first years in during lockdown. So what we were doing is we started with the 2D demonstrations, like in yesterday's class, yesterday's session with Himanshu also, he was saying that he was with me in our team. So the response of student is not that great. While you go in on an online platform and you show them a 2D drawing, and then you think that they will understand it to the level that they can create a 3D building, that doesn't happen. So it's a great mess that we make ourselves out of it. So it's better that when the outcome is going to be a 3D, why not we communicate in that particular fashion, right? So with that, we can while we can make or illustrate this entire process of not drawing but how to construct. So we are shifting from how to communicate ourselves through drawing to how to construct that particular project. That is what is the constructability. So here we can afford to go wrong. We can afford to see whether the joinery is working out or not, whether it is. So while we are drawing or while we are making that 3D model, we can always there's always a chance, to and fro chance of understanding that what all things else could have been done, because our mind is quickly designed to see those foreseeable changes that can happen with the help of a 3D model. So our perception can become better. So as a faculty, if we can demonstrate the students how it is actually being done at site, and then I think from there the takeaways would be much better as compared to how we are dealing with the current scenario. So this also increases the visualization power of the students. So how do they visualize this particular thing? How do they see that, okay, whatever I'm doing here, the brickwork and my post is not matching. So that means I need to curtail it to a certain level, which is much lower than how I would have drawn in my elevation sheet. Maybe in plan, I would never be able to do that. So all these small clashes that happens, and that is communicated till the end of the project with the help of all the 2D and 3D shifts that we do should be eliminated. And I think this is a great time. This pandemic is a great opportunity for us to experiment this shift and then see that how well we can make these students empowered enough to transfer their visualizations through their models, and through then, of course, then later on they can communicate in any other languages. So of course, BIM is a very good platform, and also all these SketchUps and Autodesk also AutoCAD and all is coming with attribute-based design. So SketchUp is also a smaller tool which can be BIM linked. So BIM is nothing; it's just a platform where you do not have planes or lines. You just start making those building modules. So you use those building modules like a foundation or a beam or a column or a brickwork. So as and when you start giving those attributes to the models in your SketchUp, then it also starts behaving like a BIM platform. So the benefits are that you can take away the quantities. You can.
Prashansa, is there something on the slide? Because what we are seeing is only one empty thing.
No, that's it. So we are now moving towards the live demonstration by Himanshu. So Himanshu, are we ready?
Yeah, we are ready. I think now, I will have to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I will have to start with the presentation. So what we are going into the live demonstration, as Prashansa has very rightly pointed out, we are gonna talk about just one tool. So I would always say that you have to fall in love with technology to actually understand it deeply and use it. Somebody was asking that it makes us the whole process cumbersome to go forth with your imagination and then creating it into a 3D model. When you actually fall in love with the technology and you start creating tools with using tools with perfection, then it is like your hand. You're using your hand. So similar manner. So I have picked up a tool for you guys to experiment, which can help you in your pedagogic ventures is SketchUp. So SketchUp is a tool. Why I have picked it up, because first year student can also understand it, work it, access it. It is a very easy tool on its first impression. My 10-year nephew also uses SketchUp to create a pool, or whatever is his imagination. So it is that easy a tool on the face of it. But it is a very complex tool when you start getting into it to express. Actually, you can take out your quantities also, as Prashansha was also telling that there are BIM features which are also coming. Initially it was with Google, then it came to Timble, and now Timble is trying to make it into a complete BIM platform also parallelly, along with the ease of its functioning.
And
So
to add further to it, SketchUp is much more user friendly also. So for us to
Yes.
pick up, it's much easier than to go into Revit, which has a lot of demands from the hardware part. Like you need to have a lot of RAMs in your PCs and all. So
You
yeah,
showed yesterday in our presentation where Himanshu Sangani and Himanshu Pandita also showed. So those were made in SketchUp. Those presentations were made in SketchUp. Yeah. And Prashansa herself has used that in our post our 15th March, 16th March lockdown. Yeah, Prashansa?
yeah, yes. We and me, Himanshu, so we were teaching in different sections, but we were in the part of the same team, first year construction. So we all used it and the outcomes were amazing. So I would, so if the time permits, I can show you the works also of first year students that has come up with that.
Okay, I think my screen is visible to everybody now.
Yeah.
Yes, Himanshu.
Yeah. So I think everybody is logged in with. If not, you can listen to me, but that would not help you. If you can be logged in from one device and you're working on another, that would be wonderful. So let's say if you're logged in from your mobile and you can work on your laptop, that would be really good. So that is one thing, so that you can work along with me while I'm doing this, you can do the shift parallelly. So I'll just go to the screen. So what I was talking. Okay, so this is the live demonstration in which we are going to basically talk about conflict and clash identification. So that, I think it is a bit complicated part, so I'll keep it for the last if the time permits. We'll also look into detailed construction drawings and 3D sectional details which can be created and can be easily changed in SketchUp. So SketchUp, which is generally considered as a very basic tool, has got very advanced level of understanding, and I think there have been in the previous presentation shared also a few things. So there are dynamic components which can be interacted. So these are the list of things. So I'll go in one by one. So what I will go first, I'll show you the layout functioning of the SketchUp. So this is the layout function. I think you can see the screen. Everybody can see the screen. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can.
So this is the kind of detail which you can create. So this is just a small furniture piece which you are seeing, and this is the level of detail which you can achieve through SketchUp model and using the functionality of layout tab in SketchUp. So this is the amount of details which we can achieve of one single furniture piece. Or let's say I'll go further for your construction purposes. Let's say you are talking about a door detail. So this is the kind of detail which we can use. So this is always every time connected to your model. So let's say this is your door. I will go to the SketchUp now. So I will start with the live practice also. First, I will demonstrate few things. So let's say this is your door, and I have to change something in this. Let's say I delete this handles in it. So what happens in your layout? I have to save it also. The moment you change something in your model, you save it. Go to your layout tab back again and update the model. Right click. Okay. Okay. Hit click and okay. Okay, so you have to update the model reference from here. Right clicking it, update the model reference. And the moment you do it, you see things change everywhere. So it will take some time. see, so once your handles are gone, it is gone from here, and there is a red mark which is created which says that there is something which is being marked in the drawing which is not there. There was a handle over here also which is removed. In the plan also in the front areas there was handle which are automatically removed. So you work actually in 3D, and your 2D stuff which you have created with the knowledge which is being you will deliver to your students gets updated automatically. So there is lot of recurring or lot of checking is actually reduced. So you do it at one place, and if you have certain labeling which is there, that is highlighted in red, and you can rectify it along with it. So this is the kind of things which you can get. So I think I'll close this. Other details which I want to show you are possible. So which see, this is the kind of staircase detail also which can be created. So you do modeling on the SketchUp, bring it to layout with various views, and you can combine and do the level of detailing. So the basic conception of SketchUp being being a very basic tool can be broken by seeing these images which I want to do, or you can also do these kinds of drawings. So this is also I'll just bring it a bit up. So this is the kind of drawings which you can produce out of SketchUp. So the level of detail is almost similar to what you do through your hand drawings or through your AutoCAD drawings. So there are lots of see, this is the kind of you can create exploded views also out of it. These are the kind of drawings which all sectional drawings which you can create. Elevation. So I think that is sufficient for the level of drawings which we can achieve to. I'm just trying to make you fall in love with the software a bit, so that when you start practicing, so you actually see the meaning in it. Other things is you can do the various phasing in construction. So this is, I'll show you one of our projects in Udaipur, which we did, which was mud and stone construction. So it was multi-level project. So we need to pass on the information onto the site. So we created various phasing of it. So this is like how the foundation has to be digged, how the staircase has to be taken out, and what are the other levels on which the. So this was very difficult for me to communicate because there was lots of level to the semi-skilled people who are working on site, and this really helped, and they can carry it in their mobile and refer it more and more. So there were dimensional drawings which are provided along with these things. So you can take them to the layout tab and create the dimensional drawings out of it, and you can create various spaces. Like this is the stone foundation, then this is the PCC which is being done, and then you have stone foundation which is coming. You have cement oxide flooring which is coming, and then you have stone walls which come up, CSCB blocks coming up. So this is the kind of help you which you can generate out of SketchUp to explain to your students, or also for communicating. Basically, how powerful a tool is in communicating something becomes important. Or I have got another model which helps you to dynamically tell. So this is the final model. This was created by John. And if you look into, I have various tabs on top. So SketchUp has a tool called Scenes, which you add on, keep on adding to create animation. So from excavation to footing to foundation, and these all can be attached to attributes to get quantities also out of it. So this gravel, then you put a slab on it. So I can also run an animation of it. So let's say I go and I say play animation. So you slowly see how things are building up on site. This could help the client to understand how the things would happen, and also for you to communicate to the construction. So the communication becomes very clear, and the chances of error start reducing. So your stone cladding comes to the bottom, and then your inner insulation boards starts happening. This is a wooden construction. The toilet fixtures. So these are the kind of phasing you can do. Okay, I think I'll close this so that
Himanshu, what is this phasing tool? I mean, what are the commands? Just
Yeah, that I will tell. That I'm just showing the power of the whole platform, and this is scenes tool, which is used to create these kinds of phasing. So
Okay.
you switch on, switch off layers, and try to control what is visible, what is not visible. So to create this, so you create a model, and then you put it into various layers as you do it in AutoCAD, and then you switch from one scene to another to create these kinds of animation. I'll just demonstrate that also.
Yep, thanks.
Okay. Okay, I think I'll just make the whole system a bit lighter. Okay, so now we move on to, as we ever have was having discussion with Prasansa. So we'll start creating with understanding the whole SketchUp tool. So this would be helpful for the beginners, as well as this would be helpful for people who are already using SketchUp. So we use SketchUp very intuitively. I initially used SketchUp very intuitively. I see the toolbox and I start using it. So first of all, I would like all you guys to open up SketchUp for you and do one small thing. So you will see a toolbar on top of your window. So go to Windows and go to your tools. Oh, sorry, go to your view, and in the view go to toolbars. In the toolbar, just click on the large tool set and uncheck getting started and do close. So you will get this toolbar onto your left panel. And keep this default tray also open. So there you have entity info, materials, lot of things which you need to use while you work upon. I hope everybody is with me.
Yes, all good.
Yeah, so should I go
I
ahead?
think it can be an interactive thing because obviously Himanshu's on the screen. So we need to tell him, talk to.
Yeah. So if you guys are in the screen, so I'll just start with. Prasansa wanted me to demonstrate creating a truss, which would help you to in your construction classes also. So what I thought, I have taken up certain 15 tools, 15, 16 tools of SketchUp, which would help beginners as well as people.
Himanshu, there is
Yeah,
a request
yeah.
that can you just repeat again the steps because I think people were just setting up their,
Opening.
yeah,
Yeah.
just you can go again.
Yeah, so once you are done, so if you will open the SketchUp, you will have to choose a template. So that template would ask you whether you want to you open the software in millimeters. You can click on any of the templates and start using SketchUp. So if for initially using, just click on any of the templates, this window will come up for you. In the meantime, by the time you open, I will tell you about two tools of SketchUp. One is your SketchUp Web.
Himanshu, 1 second. I think people didn't even follow where to get the toolbar from. So views
Yeah, from
and
view, you have to go to toolbar. And from toolbar, you have to uncheck getting started and you have to take large tool set. This, okay, large tool set you have to check if you can see my cursor and you have to just press then close. So you get this tool set there for you. Is it done?
all right, I think that's great.
And that's
Yeah.
okay, I hope, for everybody.
And also
Yeah,
the
so
default tray. So if it is not there, you can open it from.
yeah, I think most of the functions you can file on the top. Okay, so before let's say we have to create a truss which is which is a wooden truss. So for that you need a square section. Okay, so for square section you simply need to click on this rectangle,
Just a
and
second.
when you
Just a second. Himanshu, you have to present again.
I think he's presenting,
if
somebody
you
else
create,
started
let's
presenting. So you have to pin up his presentations from the list. Just go to pin.
No, it's not showing.
Yeah,
no,
go
I
to the
will
list of people and say pin up.
resume your presentation. It is showing. I'll just resume.
Yeah, just
Resume.
yeah, thanks.
Okay, I think it's back. I think everybody can see the screen now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say you have to pick this very simple square tool, and there is a very if you see your keyboard, all the arrow keys are very useful in SketchUp. So for accurate drafting which you have to create. So let's say I push the up key, so the blue icon lock. So whenever I will create a square, it will always remain in the blue axis, which is your blue axis. And if you push the left key, it will left arrow key, it would change the axis, and you can now create your rectangle in green axis. This I think most of the mid-level users would be using. So this is
We've lost his voice.
His screen is visible, but his voice is not there.
Lost his voice.
Hmm.
We are so he is not teaching, I think, how to shift between the different axes. So there are 3 planes that we are going through using.
Yeah, Prashansa, can you just tell if you know? Yeah. Oh, we've actually lost him.
We need him to. Yeah, he is demonstrating it.
He knows that he's not audible. If it can refresh the page.
Messaged him.
Yes.
So
Messaged him.
yeah, message.
Yeah, I did.
okay. Everybody can hear me.
Yes, now we can hear
Yeah, now
you.
we can.
We lost your audio.
I know. There was some network issue. Wait, I'll just go back to the screen. You can see my screen now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can see now.
Okay, so let's say you have created and now you want it of 600 mm. So you need to just give the push and pull command, which is a very popular SketchUp command to create any 3D. So you click on this, or you just press P on your keyboard. So this gets activated. So whichever direction you want to push pull, it will push pull. Let's say I need it for 600 mm. So for all the SketchUp commands, what happens if you want to change anytime? Let's say, no, I wanted 500 mm now. So I change it and it changes there also. So I say, no, I want to go back to 600 mm. So this dynamic dimensions you can keep on giving until if you have certain confusion. So let's say I created this, and now I want to create, rotate it to 45. So you rotate it. Again, for rotating also, you can use the same arrow keys. So you need to rotate it along the green axis. So you lock it along the green axis, keep it, and give it a dimension of 45 degrees. So this happens. Now there is another tool of SketchUp which is very helpful, which is creating components and group. So what is the difference between components and group? Group we always use in PPT also to group things. So there are a lot of surfaces in this. If you say, if you select, you will select one surface, you can select another surface. So SketchUp as a tool works on surfaces. You double click it, double click and triple click it, you will get the complete thing selected. So, and you can right click and make a component out of it. So component gives you a very powerful tool. If you make changes in one component, whatever times you repeat it, it will repeat in other instances also. So let's say you make a column and you change the size of the column at one place, it will change in the rest of the place. So we'll make this truss member as a component. So you create a component, give it a name, truss member, and you say create. So you have done with this. And now what you can do, you have to now copy this thing. So the move command comes in handy. So this is a move command. You can press N also, and it is also used for copy also. So you see, you can select the origin point from where you want to copy and press Control. The moment you press Control, it automatically creates a copy of it. Okay, so this is how it creates a copy, and now I have to create a mirror of it. So you can use the flip command also, flip along. If you know if the thing is in green, red, or blue axis, you can use that. So you can flip it or like that also, or you can use the scale command. So for a scale command to create mirror, you have to pick the central point and you have to go into the other direction, giving it -1. So you get an exact. So when you do this scale command, you see your scale is changing. In the bottom where you were putting the dimensions, you now for getting the exact result, you can just put -1 and you will get the mirror image. Now you can select and move it from a point where you want to paste it. So I will like to take it here and I would like to paste it here. Now, so this is there. Now you can copy the multiple instances of this. By pressing control, you can select both the objects. So let's say you select one, then press control. This gets added to it, and then again you give the same move command, M enter, and you press, and with control starts shifting. So you create another instance of it. Okay, and you move it. And you paste it to the desired location you want. So this creates your truss member. If you have a longer truss, what you can simply do, you can move. Let's say I have created this move command and I have placed it here. I will delete it and show it to you how the array commands work. So let's say I select this, and I press move. I click onto this icon and I say control and I shift it and I place it here. So you know this is your exact position at a distance which you want to move it. And when you say I want 5 such elements, you can say 5x. Type 5 and then type x and you click, and there are 5 instances of it which are automatically created. So this speeds up your work. You can create these kinds of very quickly, and then you need to have, let's say, one more member at the end. So I will do again move, I will press control, and I will paste it here. So you have that basic in between member of trusses are ready. Now let's say I want to make it a bit smaller, a bit for you to see in the zoomed in screen. Okay, so let's say this is the size of your truss. You can use hand tool, H enter to pan while you're working, and scroll tool to zoom in, zoom out. So I again pick the set tool and select and create the top member of it. Okay, so let's say this is the top. It automatically snaps. The SketchUp tool is very easy to use because there are lots of snapping which automatically happens. So this is your top member, let's say, and create again component of it, top member component, and create it. Now you push it to create another, again 25 mm you want the same dimension for.
I think we have to be a little slow यहाँ पे. So while we are working inside a component, only that portion will be seen, and we can do all the editings within that.
Yeah. So yeah, I will just demonstrate that also. So if this is the component and I have to do editing, I will do that because I will make this truss from wooden to steel. So in that I will demonstrate how you can change the components also. So this is your component and this behaves as one. Now you can move it and place it to, let's say, you bring it down and you place it. Okay, I'll use the tool which is your, see this is the tool you can use to shift it in the same axis. You want to bring it and press the control tool to make a copy out of it. Okay, so like we were doing. So once you have this, and now you can move it to the desired location. So this is your truss is ready for you. And now you can put the plate details and everything. So what other tools I want you to know before so that you understand the software and you can able to communicate.
The array tool, so it's a request from participant, so we have to repeat the array tool.
Very good, very good. So what you will do, if these are your components, let's say I selected all and I want to array it. So I just say move and I want to place these trusses at a distance of 2.4 meter. So I press control and a copy of the instance is made and I say 2.5 meter. You have placed your truss in 2.5 meter distance. Now I want 5 instances of this. So I just press 5 and I press X and I press enter. So you have the trusses which are equally distributed between these distances. Okay. Let's say, so this is the array, the power of array command. This can be circular or a polar array also, which you can use. But before going to that, I would like to use, because in your architectural purposes, you generally divide a span. You don't generally multiply in a span most of the time. So let's say for this purpose, let's say I select this again, this truss, and just delete all the other instances. Okay, so I will just do what I will make up again a component of it, so that will make the working easy. So when I select, it gets selected altogether. Okay, so I have to, let's say, divide or put 10 trusses within 10 meter span. So I shift it again with an and put it at 10 meter distance. So I have, now I know the span, the total span is 10 meter. I need 6 trusses between them. So what I will do, like I was doing 5x, now I will do divide button, backslash button, and do 6 trusses, 6 into, and when I do, they equally divided trusses are placed in your model. So this is the kind of structural exercises which you can also do in your SketchUp model very easily. Similarly, you can use for your polar arrow also. Let's say this is, so for that you need to use this rotate command, which is below the move command. You click on that icon, lock onto one of the axes, and let's say I want to rotate it with, press control again to copy the instance. I say I want to rotate it by 45 degree. I press 45 degree and I say 7 of such presses I want. So I would say 7x, and I have a beautiful structure created out of trusses, that polar array.
So while rotating, it's very important to lock one axis on which the rotation angle is calculated from. So once, can you demonstrate it clearly, like how to lock the first axis and then start rotating?
Yeah. So what happens, like arrow key become very important for you. So if I have to rotate along the green, blue axis, I will just push the up key and it gets there. If I have to rotate along the green axis, I will push the left key. If I have to push along the red axis, I will push. And let's say there is very good option which people who are using SketchUp might also not know, is your down key. What this down key does, aligns your axis to the surfaces which are different from, let's say it is not aligning right now. You press it like this and your surface gets locked to the inclined surfaces also if you want to rotate. Similar thing happens for your making a square also. So you can make a square, as I told you, by pressing the up key onto the blue axis, left key by the green axis, right key for the red axis. Now when you press the down key, you can make squares parallel to this axis also. So that is the functionality of the SketchUp tool. These are all native features. Now coming back to rotation, what Prashansa pointed out. So this is your blue axis and you lock it by pressing up key and press at the corner where you want to rotate, and you go along the axis on which you want to, you move along the axis and start rotating with control. And you
So
say
on the compass, I've first chosen the 0 and then I've started rotating.
Yeah, from the point where you want to rotate. This is what we do in AutoCAD also. So you put 45 degree angle, press enter. So you have this instance and now you want it 7 times. And your presses are created. Similarly, you can divide also in this polar array also, like we did in the normal array function. In the polar array also you can divide if you want to divide it between 360 degree. So this is how we can do it. Now coming more ahead, I think dimensions I have done, array commands is done. Okay, so you might need certain different kind of sections to be used, let's say. So this is your polygonal tool, and when you create this polygon tool, there is a very important function. You select its outline and go to the entity info in your default array. There you have these segments. So if you click 3, it becomes a triangle. If you say 4, it becomes a square. If you say 8, it becomes an octagon. So you can control the geometry which you want, the regular geometries. Irregular geometries you have to create on your own. So that is this tool which I want you to know for your purposes. Different entity info is a very good tool to create. And now I would go to, let's say I have to just simply make this from wood to I have to make it to SS. So I double click and I go inside the model and I go inside this component now, and I move, press Control key, and I copy it to edit it. So let's say I go to the base to change its shape, go inside the component, double click it. You have to double click into the component to actually go inside and start editing it. So I'll just show you a small demonstration. I am changing this. So you can see all the other components are also changing along with it. So what I will do simply, I will make it a square circular section out of it to make it a pipe truss. So let's say I select and I create, let's say I want a 12.5 mm radius circle. I create this. Or you can alternately do one thing also, which is very interesting. The double click command of SketchUp, which is very helpful at times, is if you remove these surfaces, and you go to this R command, pick its center, pick another center and double click, it automatically trims it. Otherwise you have to draw and delete it, but in this you just double click it and it happens. So this is also another very good tool which you can make use. So I'll go back to what we were doing. So we create and we draw a circle. This is a circle which is created. I delete everything else. So this is the way you can do it. And you just leave one line pending so that you know the exact dimension for which you want this circle to go. So you delete everything else. And then there is this follow me command, and most of the people who use SketchUp use it wrongly. What they do, they select the surface, select the follow me command, select the surface and try to go along the path, and at times they are not able to do it properly. So what you have to do, this is a small hack to it. You just select the path you want first, then go to the follow me command and select the surface. You do have to do nothing. It is automatically done for you. Okay, so it becomes that easy. So this is how you can say. Similarly, you can change the above section also. Now that was a bit lengthy method, or just to tell you various tools of SketchUp and make you understand various tools of SketchUp. I did this method. There is an easier method also to create a truss. So what I can do, I will go in, let's say, your camera, your standard view, and I will go to the front, or I will go to the left view. And V command is used to switch between perspective and parallel projections in SketchUp. Or you can also do it from camera. You can from parallel projection and perspective. So for here, I will switch to my parallel projections, go to standard views, and I say go to front. So this is my front elevation which I am getting. So let's say I will recreate. I will go to the line command, create a 600 mm line, and I will rotate it. So I again go lock it onto the green axis, select the point and say 45 degree. 45 degree, and then I use the line command and create a line parallel to it by pressing the down. So I'll just copy it with a control and I flip it along. Okay, this will only work for the components. So I will create another line. So automatically SketchUp helps you to snap at the 45 degree or 90 degree axis. So you create this line and another line of 600 mm. So you create this line and let's say I want to array it. So I move, I press the control key, put it, and I say I want 3 instances of it. So I say 3x. So this is my created truss in between member. I now go and make a circle. So let's say I make a circle of 12.5 mm dia, and now you have to use smartly follow me command. So you select the path. So this is your path. You select it and press follow me. Click on to the circle. There's something, I think the axis is wrong. Okay, the circle axis is wrong. So you delete it. Okay. Delete it. Go to the circle command and use the arrow keys and create a circle along the red axis, I think so. So we create a circle along the, or you simply create it onto the base. So I will press the up key to lock the, okay. So I create a circle of, let's say, 12.5 mm. So this is done, and now I can select my path as I have told you earlier, and I go and click the follow me command to the surface which I want. So see, automatically your truss is generated. So then you can create the top members and the bottom members. So this is another very interesting tool which you can use. This can be used for you creating door frames also. So I have already made an instance ready for you for the door frame. So let's say I want to create a door frame out of it. So I will just select the path, which is, let's say, 3 feet by 7 feet, my door frame, and I just go to the follow me command, and I can use various sections, whatever I want, hollow sections. You can then tell students also, okay, this is aluminium section, this is wooden section, and this is like you create your door frame in just one click. These are very fast tools. So you start seeing that, okay, it is not very difficult to create things in your SketchUp model. So I think this was truss building. I will show you certain detailed truss models also. So this is like your detailed truss models which you can create. I'll just delete these trusses. Okay, so this is the kind of detailed truss models which you can create. And you can, when you give assignments to your students, you can cross-check whether it is created by them or it is taken up from the 3D warehouse. So SketchUp does have a 3D warehouse. So you can download, when you click 3D warehouse, you can download various models from here. Of various brands also, catalogs also. We'll talk about that later if I get time. I think I'm on 1042. So, okay. So this is, let's say this is a model which has been, so when you right click to check whether the student has created it on its own, so you go to 3D warehouse, and if you find this view details tab, so then it is downloaded from your component, 3D components. So see, you get it from who is the author and everything. Let's say this is created on this software itself, you don't get this view details tab. It is written, but it is gray, so you cannot check it up. Okay, that is there. Now I wanted to talk about dynamic components also. So this component which I have brought from 3D warehouse is a dynamic component. So what do I mean by dynamic component? When I say right click, I go to dynamic component. People who are using know it. It is a very powerful tool, and I go to component options. So you don't have to draw scale anything. I wanted 3 meters. It will automatically keep the divisions same, and I say apply. So it becomes 3 meters. Okay, I'll make it a bit larger for you to actually understand the difference. 5 meter. and I say apply, and it becomes 5 meters. The divisions and everything remains same. So, and if you look into why I'm saying it has all gone into the parametric level, when you go into these dynamic tools, very difficult to create although, but when you go into the dynamic components and go to component attributes, so there are lots of detailing functions which are correlated with length, the material. There are various functions, logarithmic functions which you can build in. So there are lots of functions which you can put into your dynamic component. I'll give you a very interesting example of a dynamic component. One more. Where is the dynamic component? Interact. Okay. So this is a dynamic component for you to actually teach students, and this could be very helpful. So let's say there is a thing called tools, and you have to go to window and you have to go to interact. So this is interact in tools, and when you click, if your component is dynamic, you click it, the door gets opened. So this could be an impressive way to present anything to your client also, or could be a very good way to communicate and educate students also using these dynamic components which interact while you are presenting. So you can again click it, it gets closed. So these are the kinds of tools which you can use. Coming back to how I can make you learn few more things so that you can use effectively SketchUp. So let's say you get a component from 3D warehouse and it is not aligned with the axis. So when you scale it or you try to change it anything, so this is the scale command, and when you try to scale it, it will scale in a very abrupt manner. And most of the users which use SketchUp would have faced this problem. So what you have to do for this thing is you have to simply click inside, get inside the component and use this access command, which is next to your letter A, 3D text, there is an access command. You click it and you just go to the axis which you want the model to get aligned. So you press here, click here, and you click here, and this, then done. So now your model is aligned. So when you go out, you have to use escape key to escape from the component, and when you click, okay, something went wrong. I was not inside the component, I think so. I'll do it again. See, this axis aligned and this axis aligned, and you're done. And I press escape key, it will ask you, would you like to update the component axis to match the modified sketch axis? I say yes. And now I'm good to modify the model the way I want. See, it is now not looking very abrupt. And now I can scale it to my benefit. So that is, it will scale along the axis. I think this is one tool which you can use. Now coming back to, I think Aruna ma'am was asking about the scenes tab. This is a very powerful tab. What this does, I have created various scenes for you to talk. So when I go into the drafting tab, I am getting a blank screen because I have switched off all the layers. In 2020, it is called tags. If you're using an earlier version of SketchUp, it would be layers. So when I switch off all the other layers, I don't see other things in this. And when I switch from one, so how you do it? Let's say I have fixed my thing like this, and I want to now create, I'm ready to create a scene with all the attributes from what all layers I want to be on in this point. And the camera angles I want to switch on, you can see the various settings which you want. And then I say add scene. The moment I say add scene, there is another new scene which is created. You can rename it accordingly. So that was for the scene which you have to create. English bond, I will just quickly go through a very basic bond technique also, which you can use as in your pedagogy. Focus see. Everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, because somebody muted, everybody muted their microphones, so it was silence.
We are purposely muting because otherwise there's some noise.
Yeah, for me it is like it is going on. The meeting is going on. Okay, so yeah, so this is what I was talking about, exploded view. So once you have created by creating simple blocks, either 1.5 inch brick masonry or 1 brick masonry, you can now go and show students, double click, go inside the component, double click back again, and let's say you have created this component and you shift it to raise its height, and now you can show the two courses how they would function to your student. Or there could be an alternate way in SketchUp. Let's say I go inside and I copy these two layers and create an instance of it, and I just go inside, and what happens, this all is same component. So if I edit one component, everything would edit, as I have told you earlier. So there is a feature called make unique. So this, if you go, this is make unique. So if you have to edit just single entity, you have to make it unique. So I will just make this course which is on top as, or I will select with control all the breaks, and I will say make unique. So once they are done, make unique, and I can now apply material to it. So material is a very, very interesting tool also, which is almost, you get rendered views at the time you are working. So this is your bucket. You can use B command also, and I say I want to make it transparent to show the various courses. So I will go to glass. So this is your glass and mirrors, and I will select translucent material, and I will start applying it to all the faces. So see, once I change one, everything is changing in here. And if I haven't made it unique, all the bricks would have become of glass. So that is important for you to understand. And then I go inside and I then again make all the faces.
Click outside, then it will be easily understandable.
Yeah, and I'll just change the material. Okay, so this complete brick is made out of glass, and then you click outside and you get out, and then you can show that how the one layer on top of other is happening. There is another very interesting way you can do this similar thing. You press T tool to go get the top view, or you can go to the camera standard view and click on top view, and then you have a way of seeing the back edges. So you say press K and you start seeing the back edges, so you can see the different courses automatically. Okay, so that is another way you can show the different courses to your students of masonry. And okay, I will just switch off the game.
I just
Yeah.
want to ask, is it possible to assign properties like their crushing strength or anything, so that what I want to say, can I test virtually also? If I assign properties?
That I have not personally done on SketchUp, but if we go into the dynamic components and we try, then there might be a possibility. I have to check it up, but I have not done, because what Timble is doing now, they are creating parallel softwares like Autodesk. So for MEP, they have created a different software. So they have functionalities accordingly. So for structure, I have to check whether they have created another software or not. But there is a possibility of doing it, the way they are advancing into technology, SketchUp.
Wow.
So
I never knew the SketchUp can do so many things. I was just thinking if that's also possible.
No, yes, it is completely possible. So you have to first learn how to make a dynamic component. So while making a dynamic component, it's so like ways we are demonstrating here on the screen. This is only the faces that we are making, and we are attributing material to all the faces. But when you go into dynamic component, you are making the entire component as an entity, and you can give all the attributes like crushing strength, brick size, brick material, and its properties and its rates and everything, availability. So that becomes a dynamic component. So we are at this level, but yeah, there is a possibility of expansion in that.
yes. So I will just come back to what. So if you have to label, yes, say for students you want to show what is what. So this is your queen closer, let's say. I'm still there. Yeah. Okay.
Meenal was asking, how do you make dynamic component? That I think Himanshu had shown. Himanshu, would you just want to quickly just go back to the dynamic component? But just
Yeah, I will just go back. So what I will suggest is, in this session itself, telling you how to create a dynamic component is a very lengthy process. So what you can do, simply you can go to the window go to the 3D warehouse, and I'll tell you how to search for the dynamic component. So let's say you want this kind of a door functionality. So you press door and you search for it, and then you have to, these are the various ways in which you can search. So in the advanced tab, I'll just go to the advanced. So you have to go back, you have to go down to the advanced tab, and you have to switch on dynamic component. So now it will start showing you the dynamic components of those. You can download any of the which is suitable for your explanation, and then you can start interacting with it. So I will go to the tools and I'll go to interact and I'll click, and it will start interacting. So because I have limitation of time, otherwise I would have gone into that thing also.
Over
So
here,
fine.
essentially what we are trying to do over here is explore, show what there are many softwares. I mean, we can't go into all that. So only this is that SketchUp or something that is very easy to use. And actually there is so much that can be done. Himanshu was telling me about this. There are so many features. So I think as a teaching tool, this is a very valid software. So we can explore ourselves, and then later on there are courses. Himanshu himself is running courses. So yeah.
Yes. So what we can also do is, how much time do I have? I have 5 minutes, or do I have more time? So I will just think of what is important and
You can take 5-10 minutes, and our other speakers are already there, so not an issue.
Okay.
We can wrap it up aram se. That's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So what, let's say if you have to mention about these various labelings also, so this is a very good tool. This text tool, which is also dynamic kind of a tool. Let's say you create a surface and you want to find the area of this. You just click it, and you get the area of it. So it is this way there are very good tools in SketchUp. You automatically get the area of it, the units you can mention and change accordingly.
Click on
Similarly,
the
you can
periphery, you get the length of it. So yeah, and
click on the periphery.
yeah.
Yeah, you can tell questions. So
Yeah, so again.
yeah. So in similar manner, in this case, you have to highlight your queen closer in your MSNG, which is something which needs to be. So you say queen closer, because it is as nomenclatured as that. I say queen closer. So this kind of labeling is also possible, and you can also highlight it. So let's say I go into this block, and you want to just highlight one block and where it is all used. It is very important to show where it is all being, all the places it is being used. I go to the colors, and I pick a different kind of yellow, let's say, and I go inside this block, say yellow color, and so the moment I do that and I get out of this component, I can show students where it is used. So it is used at the junction, it is used at the end terminations, at the various locations. So in these ways you can very quickly highlight and tell what is gonna done. And when you do it dynamically, it makes more sense for understanding. So I think this is good for the bonds part. I will like to also show something for you for detailed in case for the advanced users. So let's say you want to animate certain thing in the sectional view. So from one section to another, there is animation which always happens in SketchUp. So there is a section tool which you can use. So what SketchUp has a limitation. When you use this section tool and press it onto the screen, it automatically closes all other sections. But there is a hack to it also. So you can have just one section pane activated at one time. So for that, you need to go inside the component. So you have one section pane activated outside the component, and you go inside the component and you put section pane on top of it, and you say okay, and you say move, and you adjust your section wherever you want to adjust, and you can have both the sections. So you can have sections running on both the direction. In a similar manner, you can have animated sections for explanation. Let's say you have this section and you have this section. So I'll just show. So you see this animation. I can show how my building is happening at two levels at the same time, and this is happening by various section planes which I activate in different scenes. Like I told you, scenes is a very important one. When I on the section plane, so what I simply did, I have activated section plane 6 and 4 in different planes. So when the 4 is activated, you are at the back side. In this section, scene 18, it is the 6th which is activated. Section cut 6. So I'll just go view section plane so you can see. So section plane 4 is activated and 6 is activated in your 19. So by this, in this tool you can use to talk about construction details when you have to use or you're detailing out a building. Okay. I forgot to tell few things. I think I should wind up because it is already 11. You can use these kinds of drawings which you create to actually communicate very well also at site. So there is a SketchUp extension or a SketchUp software which is SketchUp Viewer, which can be downloaded in mobiles, and you can carry your models to site, or you can give it to your skilled layman, or you can give it to your client to keep on interacting with the model, so that whatever is happening on the site, they can also understand, is it going as per what is the vision of the designer. Second tool which is very interesting is if you're on the move and you have the SketchUp file on your email ID and you want to use it. So you have got SketchUp for web also as an application which opens up in your browser. You can download the file and you can open it here. So when you go to open, you downloaded any of the SKP file from your mail ID and you can open it. If you are not carrying your laptop or you are not near to your PC, you can use this to access your SketchUp file. So this all makes it very very handy for you to use such software. So you can access things anywhere, you can interact, you can show, like we have grid plans to tell people on the site, okay, this is the grid. Similarly, you can send in SketchUp models and you can interact and on call what you want to communicate. Okay. There are a lot of things to tell, but I think so. I'll just take one more thing for the mid-level users, which is your scale tool. Multiple axes I wanted to carry, but I think time is not allowing. Just one last thing. So coming back to your trusses. So let's say I have to make this truss. I align it axes. Now tape tool is generally used to do the measurements. Most of the users are using it to do the measurements. Okay, but there is a very good use of tape tool. What you can do, you can go inside the component, use the tape tool, and this is, I think, 50 mm. So see, it is 50 mm, but I want this to be a very random dimension, so I cannot scale it by 1.3a or something. I don't know what is the multiple. I say I wanted 61 mm. So you just simply need to type 61 mm and this will scale to 61 mm. Okay, so now when I type, so it automatically scales to, okay, something wrong has happened. Just let me check. So you go to the tape tool, you do this measurement and you say 61 mm. And it asks you, do you want to resize the active group or component? You say yes, and it is automatically resized. So now when you go and measure, so you can see it is 61 mm. So these are a few interesting tools in the SketchUp which makes your life easier while you are drawing 3D objects on SketchUp, and you can use advanced tool to communicate more well. You can create very detailed drawings like I have discussed, of a simple furniture to various elements. I think this is enough. In the last, I would say just be with one software for a longer time to actually understand its hidden features, and you would be able to create everything which you want to.
Also, while teaching, I think as a hack, I would say that there is a lot already available in Warehouse. We can dismantle the entire thing and then demonstrate using just Wevel and copy and multiply tools to array and to show the students how it is being done on site than to actually start drafting in front of them.
Yes.
So it's already available. Everything is available. Otherwise, we can actually make those components and keep it aside for the lectures, because students' attention span isn't that much that they wait for you to make a circle and then extrude it to make a tube. So it's always good that we have it handy and we can assemble in front of them, and also they can be able to see the 360-degree view of everything, whatever they are seeing. So that makes them also interested in the
Himanshu,
entire
stop
discussion.
presenting. Himanshu, please stop presenting.
Yeah, I will just stop it.
And I think there are a couple of questions. Himanshu Sangani has a question. Himanshu, why don't you ask? We'll just take 1 or 2 questions and then we'll start the second session. Yeah.
Sure. Just quick note. Perhaps I may have missed it when Himanshu was talking about the scale, because I had to step out from the session. So just one quick one where that when we are sharing the information with students and we are trying to get the scale explained to them, that this particular image is on so and so scale. So how do we get that done on SketchUp, where we are saying that this image is at a scale of 1:10, just like our drawings that we make.
Yeah. For that, we have to use layout tool. It is not done. SketchUp is 1:1 scale modeling. It is like
Yes.
you are drafting in AutoCAD, and then you have to go into the layout tab, and there you can put in various 1:10, 1:100, whatever scale you want. So SketchUp comes with 3 tools. One is the style builder, one is your layout, and one is your SketchUp modeling tool. So you have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I mean, when you install SketchUp, there are three programs that gets loaded. So 2 others, layout and style builder. So we'll have to use either of the program to get the scale.
Layout. You have to use
Layout. Okay, fine. All right. Thanks.
It is a very powerful tool. I think if you were in the beginning, I just showed how you can just change things in model, and that gets reflected into layout.
Yeah, I was busy with a meeting, so I had to step out and join in later. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Anybody has any other question?
I have just taken the snapshot of the questions people are asked, and I will get back to them. I'll get back to Aruna ma'am, and then you can send back the answers to you, because the time is not allowing. So I just took a quick snap of the questions people have asked.
Yeah, that will be a great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I hope this will help you in your
I must say thank you, Himanshu, and thank you, Prashansa. It was a very, very, it's like a very eye-opener kind of a session, and I think, yeah, Amrita.
Yeah, I wanted to say that we were actually originally planning for it to be a BIM session, session as well. I'm glad we didn't do that, Himanshu, because this took so much. This needs time, right? I mean, all of it needs time, and that would probably have a separate thing. And we actually look forward to having that as well at some other point.
Definitely.
After the workshop, if you could give us some more time for us, and we can also call back the same participants if they are interested.
Definitely.
All right, that will be great.
Thank you. Amrita.
I think I am a person who is very resistant to softwares. But I think in the beginning when you said that I'm trying to make you fall in love with the software SketchUp, I think, yes, I admit it was such a powerful tool. I never imagined that so much can be done. And thank you so much for, telling us so much in such a short span of time.
I think we should all take this session as a live demo of how we should be teaching our students this thing.
True.
Literally how we should be making them make a trust and understand in our studios. I think Himanshu session is going to go very far in that as well.
Thank you very much.
But still in it is great, Himanshu. Thank you so much.